When Shedeur Sanders was asked about the Pro Bowl, he didn't gloat. He said it was surreal, that he was honored to learn from greats. He didn't need to defend his stats or the skeptics questioning his spot. He let the moment speak for itself. And then, without warning, he changed the conversation entirely by revealing his signature shoes. Not just a pair of cleats, but an official line, dropping this April.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
The NFL world froze. A fifth-round pick with a brand rollout? For some, it didn't make sense. For Sanders, it made perfect sense. In that moment, leadership wasn't about being loud, it was about being undeniable. Footage from Browns camp showed Sanders instructing receivers with calm confidence, adjusting plays mid-huddle, and executing reads like a seasoned starter. Mike Vick's presence reinforced what some already knew: this isn't about potential. It's about preparation. The shoe drop, timed for the offseason, shows strategic brilliance beyond the playbook. Sanders isn't just playing quarterback. He's redefining what that role means in today's NFL. By now, it's clear that what Shedeur Sanders pulled off at Pro Bowl practice day 2 wasn't just a headline, it was a moment. One that dropped like a thunderclap across the NFL landscape. This wasn't a viral dance, a catchy one-liner, or some outrageous off-the-cuff media soundbite. It was a carefully delivered announcement, his own signature sneaker line, dropping this April. That's right. A full-fledged, player-branded shoe. Not a team-issued cleat. Not a player-exclusive. A real, personal, market-ready line. From a rookie. A fifth-round rookie. And the timing? Absolutely lethal. Dropped in the middle of Pro Bowl week, when cameras are rolling, players are relaxed, and the football world is watching for anything resembling entertainment in the postseason haze. No press conference. No ad blitz. Just mic'd-up footage released by the Browns showing Shedeur commanding the field, controlling the vibe, and then, without blinking, dropping the announcement like it's just another play call. That footage wasn't casual. It wasn't just for team socials. It was a message. Because Shedeur wasn't standing in the background trying to soak in the moment. He was the moment. Mic'd up, mid-huddle, delivering adjustments to route runners like he'd been doing it for years. Keep it tight inside the tackle box, that'll open your window. That's not flashy quarterback talk. That's film room vocabulary, executed on a practice field full of Pro Bowlers, many of whom had never worked with him until that day. He didn't just sound like he belonged, he led like it was his team. And that's what makes the shoe drop hit so hard. Because it's one thing to talk about swagger or upside or future potential. It's another to watch a rookie quarterback walk into a huddle of league vets and own the tempo. Then follow that up with a career-defining commercial milestone that not even most first-rounders dream about. A signature shoe deal? From someone with 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions? It's unheard of. And that's the point. This wasn't about stats. It was about status. And the league felt it. The shoes themselves? Predominantly black, sleek, minimal but distinctive. The kind of design that doesn't scream for attention but holds your eye. Described by fans as absolutely fire, they immediately ignited demand across social media. Pre-orders, sneaker blogs, NFL Twitter. Fans didn't just want the product, they wanted to be part of whatever Shedeur was building. Because the shoes aren't just shoes. They're symbols. Of identity. Of confidence. Of a player rewriting the rules of what rookie stardom looks like in 2026. Every design choice links back to his journey: Trinity High School, Jackson State, Colorado, Cleveland. It's not a lifestyle drop. It's a timeline in sneaker form. And by releasing it in April, he's guaranteeing it won't get lost in the chaos of the season. He's owning the off-season. That's not a coincidence. That's strategy. And that same strategy extends to how Shedeur's handled the firestorm of criticism since his Pro Bowl nod. Let's be real, his numbers raised eyebrows. 10 interceptions to 7 touchdowns across just over 1,400 yards doesn't usually scream all-star. But Shedeur wasn't voted in on raw stats. He was voted in because people see something else. Something deeper. Something that analytics can't account for. Influence. And that influence comes with backlash. Critics were loud, and some didn't even pretend to hide the undertones. The quote that surfaced from a sideline mic said it all. He's a confident black man. That's the problem. There it was. Said plainly. The same coded critique that's been thrown at black quarterbacks for decades. Only now less coded, more explicit. But Shedeur didn't take the bait. He didn't clap back. He didn't rant or grandstand. He gave them nothing but humility. It's surreal. I get to be around all these great guys. Simple. Respectful. Unshakable. The kind of response that disarms narratives without ever raising your voice. Because when you know who you are, you don't need to explain it to people trying to shrink you. And that's what makes this moment so important. It's not just about how Shedeur is playing the game. It's about how he's controlling the narrative around it. He's not just taking up space, he's reshaping it. Not just for himself, but for every player watching the league change in real time. Let's talk about Mike Vick. A name that means something to any football fan with memory. Vick's presence at the Pro Bowl wasn't symbolic, it was foundational. He coached Shedeur's flag football squad. But that's just the latest chapter in a mentorship that stretched from Jackson State through Colorado and now into the pros. This is long-term, high-caliber development, built on trust, shared experience, and technical insight. Vick knows what it means to be doubted, to be criticized, to be exceptional and still questioned. And Shedeur? He's been learning from one of the best to ever change the way the quarterback position was viewed. And clearly he's learning fast. The Browns clearly see it. They're not just tolerating Shedeur's presence, they're elevating it. Organizational shifts, staff alignment, media support, all of it points to one thing: institutional buy-in. They're building a future that doesn't just include him, it centers on him. That's how you get a Pro Bowl pick from a fifth-rounder. That's how a rookie gets a mic'd up highlight reel. That's how a signature shoe gets greenlit before the NFL Combine even fades from memory. Because it's not about how long you've been in the league, it's about how deeply you connect to it. Shedeur's connection? Instant. Authentic. Cross-platform. Cross-demographic. And very clearly cross-industry. We're looking at a paradigm shift in real time, where quarterbacks aren't just judged by completion percentage, but by cultural relevance. Where sneakers don't just drop, they narrate. Where leadership doesn't wait for seniority, it shows up ready. And Shedeur Sanders? He's not asking for approval. He's building a brand so undeniable that even the haters can't scroll past it. The April release will be a marker, not just for the launch of a shoe but for the launch of a new kind of NFL quarterback. One that blends football IQ, market instincts, and narrative control into something entirely modern. He's not the product of hype. He's the product of execution. So yeah, you can pull up the stat sheet. You can argue about interceptions. But the league's already moved on. The fans are already in. And every other rookie watching this unfold? They've been put on notice. This is what the future looks like. If you've been watching this like we have, you know this isn't just a viral moment. It's a blueprint. Like, share, and comment if you're locked in for the April drop, or if you're still catching up to what just happened. And don't forget to subscribe, because the next time Shedeur Sanders shakes the NFL, it won't be a surprise. It'll be the standard. Shedeur Sanders isn't just having a moment, he's defining one. Let's cut through the noise. You've heard the stats. You've seen the headlines. You've probably scrolled past the debates, the hot takes, the he hasn't earned it crowd that's been crying foul since the Pro Bowl rosters dropped. But here's what they're missing, and here's why this moment matters far more than they're ready to admit. Shedeur Sanders, a rookie quarterback drafted in the 5th round, just secured something NFL veterans spend careers chasing: a signature shoe. Let that settle. Not an endorsement. Not a co-branded cleat. A signature sneaker line. In the NFL. For a rookie. And not just any rookie, a 5th rounder. Someone who wasn't even expected to start in year 1, much less dominate headlines with a culture-shaking move before his 2nd season. And he did it without asking for anyone's permission. The drop didn't come with a press tour. It wasn't flanked by a dozen sponsors shouting from the rooftops. It happened at Pro Bowl practice day 2 in front of cameras, players, and the entire football world. Quiet confidence. Strategic timing. High-impact execution. If that's not power, what is? Shedeur's announcement hit harder because of the context. Not just the timing but the surrounding noise. While skeptics were dissecting his stat line, 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, he was putting out mic'd-up film showing poise, command, and veteran-level leadership. In a setting filled with league stars, he wasn't starstruck. He was running the huddle. The Browns released that footage for a reason. This wasn't some intern's social media post. This was a calculated reveal. Shedeur reading defenses, communicating precise route tweaks, directing traffic, and doing it with the cool head of someone who knows he belongs. One specific call caught major attention, telling his receiver to flatten the route inside the tackle box to create a clearer lane. That's real-time processing. That's advanced-level quarterbacking. And it landed. It landed because it countered everything being said outside the field. While pundits questioned why he was there, Shedeur was showing why. That dual narrative, the criticism versus the proof, is what made the shoe drop seismic. Because this wasn't just about an athlete getting a shoe deal. It was about a rookie quarterback rewriting the way value is defined in pro football. And the world noticed. Social media didn't just react, it detonated. Posts about the shoes were everywhere. Absolutely fire. Pre-order link? He really dropped this at practice? People weren't just interested, they were in. It wasn't hype. It was connection. Why? Because the shoes tell a story. They aren't just black and sleek with subtle detailing. They're symbols. From Trinity High to Jackson State to Colorado to Cleveland, his entire journey is embedded in this design. They don't scream rookie. They whisper legacy. And that's what makes them so dangerous to the old model. Because in the old world of the NFL, legacy was earned strictly by rings, records, and media-controlled narratives. But Shedeur didn't wait for that. He built his own narrative. From his poise in interviews, to his leadership on the field, to the way he carries himself off it, he's taken control of the story. And now, he's monetizing it. Cue the discomfort. You could feel the tension behind some of the backlash. It wasn't just about stats or draft position. It was something deeper. Something more coded. A sideline comment, caught and circulated online, laid it bare. He's a confident black man. That's the problem. There it is. Spoken plainly. The kind of scrutiny that's followed black quarterbacks forever, but especially the ones who dare to lead on their own terms. The ones who don't minimize themselves to fit the mold. The ones who treat branding not as distraction but as agency. And Shedeur? He didn't flinch. He responded with calm, measured humility. It's surreal. I get to be around all these great guys. Not performative modesty. Strategic grace. Because when you're under that level of scrutiny, every word becomes part of your architecture. Every quote matters. And he's been building this platform brick by brick, without overplaying his hand. It helps that he has Mike Vick in his corner. This isn't a celebrity mentorship for headlines. This is a long-term, high-trust, deeply football-driven relationship. Vick, who's seen it all, criticism, ascension, redemption, has been with Shedeur since his Jackson State days. And now he's coaching his Pro Bowl flag team. There's no better validator. No louder endorsement. No better perspective on what it takes to survive and thrive as a dynamic black quarterback in a league that still struggles to accept that fully. But what's happening now isn't just about survival. It's about redefinition. And the Browns? They're not standing in the way. They're leaning into it. They're not treating Shedeur as a developmental flyer. They're making structural changes, coaching hires, media strategies, team operations, all pointing to one thing. He's the long game. They're betting on his leadership, his commercial pull, his ability to represent the franchise not just on the field, but everywhere it matters in 2026. That's what separates this moment from hype. It's not a viral detour. It's a calculated leap forward in how young stars navigate the modern NFL. And the shoe drop? That's not a side note. It's a signal. A statement that football identity is no longer confined to the field. That cultural currency, narrative fluency, and off-season relevance are all now part of what makes a quarterback valuable. Especially when that quarterback moves like a vet, leads like a captain, and wears history on his feet. Because the shoes? They're artifacts. Not just for sneakerheads, not just for Browns fans, but for a league reckoning with what it means when a fifth-round rookie has more off-field gravitational pull than most 10-year veterans. The April release date locks it in. The NFL offseason is a vacuum. And Shedeur's going to own it. While other players fade into off-season workouts in silence, he's keeping fans engaged, spotlight intact, brand hot, and trajectory climbing. This isn't about being flashy. It's about being undeniable. He didn't play the game the old way. He rewrote the terms. With presence. With intention. With vision. And whether you believe he's the next face of the league or you're still stuck arguing over interceptions, it doesn't change what's happening. Shedeur Sanders walked into the Pro Bowl as a fifth-round rookie, dropped a signature shoe line in the middle of practice, and left with the entire NFL world watching. If that doesn't redefine power, nothing does. At this point, if you're still framing Shedeur Sanders as just a rookie, you're not watching the same league. We've never seen anything quite like what unfolded at Pro Bowl practice day 2. Not just because of the sneaker announcement, although yes, that moment dropped like a bomb, but because of everything that surrounded it. The lead-up. The execution. The aftermath. This wasn't just a product launch. This was a paradigm shift happening right in front of us. Let's go back to what we thought this Pro Bowl week would be. Lighthearted. A little flag football. guys clowning around. A chill, low-stakes warm-down to the season. And for most players that's exactly what it was. But not for Shedeur Sanders. For him this was a statement. Because while most rookies are still figuring out how to adjust to the speed of the league, Sanders was adjusting routes for his wide receivers, on the fly, mic'd up, and mid-play. Not in a preseason scrimmage. Not in a closed team practice. But at a national event full of established stars. Veterans. Pro Bowlers. Guys who've earned their names in playoff wars. And Shedeur? He was right there with them. Come. In control. Giving exact feedback like it was nothing. Flatten that out, keep it inside, tackle box window opens up right there. You don't fake that. You don't bluff your way into that kind of leadership. That's built from reps, study, and awareness. And it's earned from respect. The mic'd up footage wasn't about showing off. It was about showing up. In a space where he was expected to be wide-eyed and deferential, Shedeur was instructive, strategic, and collaborative. That alone would have made headlines. But then came the moment that turned this practice session into a cultural event. The signature shoe drop announcement. Not leaked. Not teased. Announced. Confidently. Casually. Powerfully. A signature sneaker line from a fifth-round rookie quarterback isn't just rare, it's nearly unthinkable. The NFL doesn't do signature shoes the way the NBA does. And when it does happen, it's reserved for icons. MVPs, champions. Faces of franchises with rings and records. Not rookies who just wrapped up a season with 10 interceptions. But that's exactly why it worked. Because this moment wasn't about the past. It wasn't about performance metrics. It was about what comes next. And Sanders? He isn't waiting around to be knighted. He's making moves now, before the league has time to catch up. Look at the reaction. The internet didn't pause, it exploded. Fans, fashion heads, even players took notice. The shoes were clean. Understated. Purposeful. Black base, sharp detailing, smart silhouette. They didn't just say, Shedeur Sanders athlete. They said, Shedeur Sanders brand. And let's be clear, that brand isn't just hype. It's backed by narrative fluency, market awareness, and something more elusive, cultural resonance. That's why people care. Not just because of who he is, but because of how he's showing up. The shoes themselves? They're not loud for the sake of being loud. They tell a story. His story. Trinity High School. Jackson State. Colorado. Cleveland. It's not just a career arc, it's a journey of identity, visibility, and self-determination, stamped into the outsole of every pair. And when you wear them, you're not just wearing a brand, you're wearing a blueprint. A timeline. A refusal to be boxed in by outdated expectations of what a young black quarterback can or should be. That's the part critics keep missing. The ones who zero in on his stat line, 7 touchdowns, 10 picks, as if that's the only thing that matters. Yes, the numbers weren't explosive. Yes, the tape shows room for growth. But what the tape also shows, if you actually watch it, is a quarterback who processes fast, speaks with clarity, and leads with presence. A rookie who made a Pro Bowl not by default but by momentum. That's why the league is buzzing. That's why fans are engaged. That's why the Browns are investing, not hesitating. This isn't speculation. This is reality. Cleveland's moves, coaching hires, structural build-outs, internal alignment, aren't designed for a backup quarterback. They're meant for a centerpiece. A long-term bet. Someone who doesn't just represent the future of the team, but the evolving face of the league. And Mike Vick? He sees it too. His role as Shedeur's mentor goes beyond name recognition. This is someone who understands what it means to break molds, to shake systems, to be doubted and still define eras. His involvement at the Pro Bowl, coaching Shedeur's flag football squad, wasn't decorative. It was symbolic. A passing of the torch from one misunderstood phenom to the next quarterback ready to change the game. That's why this moment hits harder than any stat line. Because it's not about being the best player on the field, it's about being the most undeniable presence in the room. And Shedeur? He's got that. In every huddle. Every quote. Every move. Even his response to the backlash proves it. The racialized commentary wasn't subtle. A now viral mic'd up clip captured it perfectly. He's a confident black man. That's the problem. The subtext became text. And still Shedeur didn't flinch. He responded with authenticity and grace. It's surreal. I get to be around all these great guys. Not just humble. Intentional. He didn't match fire with fire. He let his work speak. Because Shedeur Sanders understands the stakes. He's not just playing quarterback. He's building cultural equity. And the April sneaker drop? It's not just a commercial play, it's a chess move. A calculated, Off-season release designed to dominate the conversation when everyone else is quiet. No games. No distractions. Just pure visibility. A rookie commanding the spotlight without needing to take a snap. It's not about being loud. It's about being strategic. And now, the conversation has shifted permanently. The old idea that rookies have to wait for their turn? That you need to prove yourself before you start building your platform? Shedeur broke that narrative, cleanly, quietly, and confidently. He didn't ask the league if it was ready. He showed up and told them, it's already happening. And the scary part? This is just the start. The first season is barely over. The numbers were modest. The plays were learning moments. And still, look where we are. Headlines. Cameras. Sneakers. Leadership. Controversy. Engagement. Impact. If Shedeur Sanders is moving this much cultural weight as a fifth-round rookie, just wait. Wait until the numbers catch up. Wait until the system clicks. Wait until that film room knowledge becomes full-field dominance. Wait until the Browns fully lean in and unleash the quarterback they're clearly preparing him to become. Because when that moment hits, it won't just be a shoe drop at practice. It'll be a movement already in motion. So like this, if you're watching this story unfold in real time, share if you see what's coming next. Drop a comment. Are you in on the April drop, or are you still trying to catch your breath from the Pro Bowl surprise? Either way, subscribe. Because this isn't a flash. This is the foundation, and Shedeur Sanders is just getting warmed up.